This week on Dateline Abuja, the demolition man is in town and is speaking up on the demolition of shanties and all other illegal structures across the nation's capital with a stern word for those who are trying to threaten this demolition train. We speak to the head of this demolition team in our interview segment. As we focus on the FCT this week, Bureau of the Change operators in the Wuse Zone 4 area have been asked to leave the streets, and those shanties they occupy are being demolished. We're told this will be a continuous exercise, and as usual, we will update you on the news and happenings from the nation's capital in our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. We begin with a roundup of stories making headlines from Abuja, Nigeria's seat of power.
Adoption of the new CBN digital currency is estimated to increase Nigeria's GDP by $29 billion over the next 10 years. President Muhammadu Buhari made the disclosure during the official unveiling of Nigeria's digital currency, e-Naira, at the State House.
We have become the first country in Africa and one of the first in the world to introduce a digital currency to our citizens. The use of central bank digital currencies can help move away more people and businesses from the informal into the formal sector, thereby creating the tax base of the country. Indeed, some estimates indicate that the adoption of central bank digital currencies and its underlying technology called blockchain can increase Nigeria's GDP by $29 billion United States dollars over the next 10 years.
The president also launched the 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem appeal, where he stated that military onslaught against bandits and terrorists will continue until peace returns to every part of the country.
The welfare of our ex-servicemen continues to be our priority. The government has continued to prioritize the prompt and regular payment of pensions and benefits to our retirees. We are committed to making life more meaningful to all retirees. To this end, we shall, within the limits of available resources, ensure payment of all liabilities arising from increments made to the pensions of ex-servicemen. We enjoin all to remain steadfast and committed to our country. The emblem, which I will launch shortly, is not only a sign of the sacrifices and bloodshed by officers and men of the armed forces for peace and security in our country. It is also a sign of resolve to remain united as a nation and confront any challenges we may face. It is a sign of our resolve to say no to divisions and embrace one another as a united, indivisible country.
The president also presided over the swearing-in ceremony of two national commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission. They are Professor Mohammed Kalla and Professor Kunle Ajayi. The president also received letters of credence from 9 ambassadors and 2 high commissioners. They include the ambassadors of Japan, Finland, European Union, Burundi, Denmark, Ireland, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Cape Verde, France, and Qatar. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, participated in the 27th Nigerian Economic Summit. Closing the ceremony, Professor Osinbajo says there has to be justice and fairness in the global agenda for the transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy.
We are also confronted with an existential crisis of poverty and of even mortality, in fact, maternal mortality, and all of the various challenges that come with extreme poverty. So while the world, especially the wealthier countries, are focused on climate change and climate change alone, we have to be focused, not just on climate change, but access to energy, which is a major constraint that we have. So the truth of the matter is that this transition to zero emissions by 2050 or 2060 or whenever must be based on fairness and equity and justice. And I think it's important for us to keep emphasizing this and to also negotiate this. So we shouldn't be negotiating just national contributions, which is what the NDCs, which is what we spend a lot of our time doing. We must negotiate the terms of this transition. We must ensure that the $100 billion a year that the OECD countries promised as funds towards the transition for developing economies, that they are faithful to that promise.
The Vice President also hosted the 10th anniversary dinner of AfriLabs, a network organization supporting innovation centers across African countries since 2011. He believes that with innovation and the creative use of technology, the dream of a prosperous Africa is now achievable. The Vice President presided over this week's Federal Executive Council meeting in the absence of President Muhammadu Buhari, who traveled to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for the Future Investment Initiative Summit. The Council approved the construction of 21 roads covering over 1,800 kilometers across the 6 geopolitical zones by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation.
Petroleum energy distribution is being impacted positively and negatively, as the case may be, by the transport infrastructure, which is ministerial mandate for. So NNPC has sought and Council has approved today that NNPC deploy tax resources to 21 roads, covering a total distance of 1,804.6 kilometers across the 6 geopolitical zones.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the activities of Boko Haram and bandits is increasing the number of out-of-school children in the country. The president made the statement through his chief of staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, at the 4th International Conference on Safe Schools Declaration.
Incessant attacks on the country's educational system in the form of kidnapping, abduction of pupils, students, through the increased activities of insurgents and general insecurity in our schools has been chief among contributing factors responsible for the growing number of out-of-school children.
Wuse Zone 4 is known for quite a lot of things, but on top of that list are the Bureau de Change operators on the entire stretch of the Ladikwali Way and several side roads there. There is no currency you will not find in this neighborhood, and this has been the story for decades. Well, all that is about to change. The offices in the Zone 4 neighborhoods belong to those operators, but they prefer to sell on the street. Those who don't have offices construct shanties in the highbrow neighborhood, and now the FCT authorities are done with the defacing of the Abuja master plan. Please watch this.
This is part of efforts by the Federal Capital Territory Authority to ensure compliance to the Abuja Master Plan. This is part of efforts by the Federal Capital Territory Authority to ensure compliance to the Abuja Master Plan. Shops and illegal markets along the road were removed by a team led by the FCT Ministerial Task Force on City Sanitation. The exercise is taking place on the directive of the FCT Minister, and illegal structures within and outside the city centers are not spared. For instance, over 300 structures were demolished in Lugbe, which is along the airport road. Another area affected is Wuse Zone 4, which is popular for the presence of Bureau de Change operators. The task force team specifically cleared shanties constructed primarily of roofing sheets, sacks and wood located within a reserved green area within the zone, where BDC operators and small dealers were spotted conducting their businesses in crowded areas. Also, 2 mosques were demolished within the green vegetation, as well as an unlawful cluster of furniture-making factories. Vehicles were hauled from the location, which is apparently densely packed with unauthorized constructions, as the task force explains that the area has become a criminal hideout.
A month ago, actually came here and saw wide-scale contraventions at the heart of the city, overlooking Sheraton Hotel, as well as some other very strategic area, even close to Tudunwada Secondary School here, where people who deal in currencies operate here. We saw butchers in the valley, which we have removed. We saw illegal attachments. You can see all of them here. This is a federal government house, and I was sold to somebody. He converted it to a commercial issue, which is an offense. We are not arresting that one for today. The person added attachment to all parts of the house, which are all very troublesome and worrisome, disturbing contravention here. So we saw so much bleeding points in the city, and the FCT minister insisted that we must clear all. He even insisted that the Bureau de Change operators who are operating on the roadside should not be. These are all their shops. Look at all their massive shops they have all around here. So they shouldn't be on the road. They should go back to their shops and deal. And we cannot allow, while we are removing street traders, street hawkers, allow those who deal on currency to remain on the road. So the minister has given directive to the AEPB team and other teams to actually pin down and ensure that. So today we came out on operation to clear those persons who are actually roadside traders, those who have butchers, shanties, those who have furniture market under the Wuse Zone 4 bridge, multiple. One thing that is so key today is that we discovered a stolen manhole cover. And I think the APB team will hand it over to the AB Facility Management Department of the FCT.
The offices there are owned by the Bureau de Change operators, but unfortunately some of them have resolved to be trading outside, which is illegal. So we are appealing to them to please go back to their offices and continue their lawful businesses. Anybody caught outside operating will be arrested and be prosecuted. The mobile courts are already on standby, waiting for people who are indulged in kind of these activities to be arrested and brought before it.
Responding on behalf of the operators, the Secretary of the Elders Forum of the BDC operators, Mr. Yahaya Kida, describes the exercise as a welcome development, explaining that it will help sanitize the area. He wants the exercise to be continuous.
On 15th of September, the Honorable Minister, under the chairmanship of the Commissioner of Police, Director Security, Director Environmental, invited us and informed us that they are going to take up a cleaning exercise in Zone 4. We cooperated, we informed all our members. Today here they are, and we are welcoming them, and we are warning the touts, the drug peddlers, whoever that attempted to deal with them. We are going to deal with them ruthlessly. We are not going to tolerate them. We are going to cooperate with the government so that they will clean Zone 4, because we are tired of these drug peddlers.
Also affected is the illegal market at Yakasua 6th Avenue in Gwarimpa. The task force explains that the area is harboring criminals who they alleged attacked the team during the demolition exercise.
Today, we are at Lungu village within Gwarimpa, and the team came under severe attack by some people that call themselves vigilantes. You're seeing all the law enforcement officers from the government trying to carry out a cleanup. If you can see a den gun that was recovered today. We had 4 of them that came to attack the team, but 3 ran away and were able to apprehend 1. We have 3 suspects presently that has been handed over to the Galadimawa Police Division. The law will take its course. Further investigation will be carried out, and the law will take its course. And that is why we always discourage people from allowing slums and shanties to fester within planned environment and unplanned environment. And that is why the team has been going out around the city, in recent time to clear all these these shanties that harbor criminal elements.
Less than 2 months ago, the administration demolished over 130 illegal hostels, hotels and other buildings at a settlement known as Idosaraki Community, adjacent to the University of Abuja. The team is vowing to sustain the exercise till December to ensure that the shanties are not returned.
My guest on the program is Mr. Atai Karo. We all know him as the chairperson of the task force ensuring compliance to COVID-19 guidelines. Well, This time, he's a chairman of the Federal Capital Territory Ministerial Task Team on City Sanitation, and he's here to clean house. Mr. Ikara, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much, my sister. It's been a long time.
It has. You're heading another task force in the FCT, and this time, it is hurting people.
Yes, most times it always hurts people.
So let's hear about this. What is this? It's something that you're calling sanitation, but basically everyone is calling you the demolition man of Abuja right now because you are demolishing a lot of houses right now. So let's get into it. What's really going on, and what caused the FCT administration to decide to come up with this task force?
I think the minister had given us that, after the first wave of COVID-19, the minister had to show us a stretch from the Apo roundabout, not too far from where your office is now, stretching towards the Apo by Powerhouse Junction here. That's where we had a drug den on the hill called the Toragora Hill. We had a ram market.
That hill, there's
a drug den called Toragora. We've sacked the drug den.
You have?
The drug lord. We've sacked the drug lord already. This was about early this year. We also actually go sack the Pantika, the scrap market, the ram market. I think we sacked them, but they adjusted very deep inward here, and we removed the popular Akpatanya village overlooking the NEPA structure there. So the committee, the task force have been on, but just that recently, 5 months ago, we were heavily reawakened to do some heavy cleanup work along the airport road stretch, touching some communities here and removing some very bigger structures, particularly the ones at Ido Seriki and Ido Sabo, where persons decide to go and buy or just go and occupy lands, build massive structures, hostels for students of University of Abuja without having approval or genuine documents. So
how many buildings have you demolished? I mean, apart from the drug den and all those places, so you're doing shanties, you're doing criminal hideouts, and you're also looking at illegal structures, correct?
Multiple, all in one. We're doing so much here. If you look at it somewhat, some of the things that we clear are heavy shanties. We had cleared shanties in the city center, the one around the Bolingo axis, the one around the bush close to Nan, where we had intensive robbery, the one behind the church gate. You just pass through without seeing anything, but just go under some tree, you will see people living there up to about 4,000. We've cleared all the shanties.
How many so far?
I can't count it, but they're just in some region of some thousands.
Thousands of shanties. So the people who've been affected by this, what happens to them?
What happens? I don't know what happens to them, but the truth about it is you're not supposed to be there. When you are there, if I come into Channels Television, this wonderful broadcast edifice, and no one allowed me to come in here and I forced my way in, the security men will have to throw me out. And when I go out, I go home. So they have to go
Isn't it counterproductive? Because we've had this conversation before where we talk about shanties. And of course, these are ungoverned spaces. And yes, a lot of crime and criminality happen in these places. Correct. But when you go and sack a shanty, you release those same criminals into the city.
No, you've not. You see, that's the irony we are looking at before. That whenever we want to go out, this issue of empathy, security, check and all of that. But what we resolve and what we observe doing going forward is that when you leave the criminals, they have a safe place for stealing. They go back, they hit, and they have a place to return back to hide. When you hit their hideout, then you've touched them from the very core of where they sleep, where they rest, where they keep their weapons, where they do everything. Sometimes you may want to know, Kela, when we go to some places to actually go clear shanties, like the Toragora Hill we talked about before, we go to some areas that are deep areas around maybe Kubo, around some other areas, the one city center. What we saw are largely female handbags, female shoes, female ATM. They target the female folks because maybe they are weaker vessels and they are easy to rob and all of that. So when you go around the shanties, you hit the criminal from the strong point where they stay. Imagine you driving past Bolingo, close to Sheep House, close to Anan and others here. You won't even know people live in their hundreds in that green you just see. When you go there, you hit them, everyone will disperse. But as long as the criminals are safe, as long as their den is safe, it's not touched, they just come out at night, they rob you when you are crossing the road, when you slow down, they rob you, and they quickly rush back to where they got safe haven. And that's why we are hitting them. Even the one at Mpape, we touched that one very much there. We saw so many shanties recovered, some very dangerous items used to rob ladies.
But that doesn't answer my question. When you sack these shanties, the criminals, You're releasing.
No.
You're releasing them into the city.
No.
What's the proof that they go back? What's the proof that they leave the city?
No.
Because their houses have been demolished.
They are advised to change from being criminals to good people and live somewhere nice. If you are a criminal and we sack you and you move to somewhere and want to continue your criminality, we will sack you again. That's the truth. As long as Eneke the bird learns to fly without perching, the hunter will learn to shoot without missing. The criminals are everywhere. They've been on from time immemorial. When you sack them here, and some of them will say, look, I'm tired of all of this life. How will I be running forever? I don't want to do this again. I want to give my life to God. Those ones are the good ones. The ones who want to constantly live in shanties, live in dangerous hideout, to rob and to kill, we will keep going after them. You can't stop.
And another thing is, it's not just criminals that live in shanties.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
There are people, who have nowhere to go.
They are safe, but you can't. Abuja.
Isn't it possible that you're turning some of those people into criminals?
No. Abuja is a planned city. That's the plain truth. Abuja is a planned
I'm
city.
not saying that they should stay in shanties, but shouldn't there be a plan to relocate, rehabilitate?
The only ones you can do that for by the law of this city are the original inhabitants. They are the ones you relocate, compensate, rehabilitate, and whatever. The original inhabitants, the Gbagis, the Gwandaras, the Gwaris, the other tribes that makes up Abuja original inhabitants. But the other people who come and stay where they're not supposed to stay, the law don't allow you to. Where will you get the funds from? That's the truth about it. When you come to a city like this, what I tell people, the problem they have is that they want to live in the city center.
And they have the right to do that.
No, you have the right to do, but to get the legal document. Before Channels TV decides to establish itself here, Channel was somewhere, got the original paper, got building plan approval, within the ambits of the law that governs a new capital city that was moved from Lagos to Abuja. You build this broadcast edifice because you are law-abiding. Everyone ought to abide to the law the way you did.
They're trying to hustle, Atta.
Everyone is hustling. Everyone is
trying to find a way to live here.
No, I agree with you. Everyone is hustling. But it's not because you are hustling. You just go somewhere close to the sheep house because you find some trees there and you pretend to be farming and quietly you build a shanty. The next thing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shanty, and the next thing criminals join you and start to rob ladies. And because you are hustling, we had to look the other way and see bachas and shanties everywhere. It's not going to work. Every shanty started as just one small bacha. Maybe the man is selling sachet milk, sachet water, sachet toothpaste. People are buying from him. Quietly, he brings somebody. The hoodlum starts to come in and mix with them. And the next thing, they become uncontrollable. They become very dangerous here. And that's the truth. And you will not encourage shanty to be around your area. And that's the fundamental fact. We must understand that this city is governed by law. We are good to come.
Good luck with the work that you do, and thank you so much for being with us on Dateline.
Thank you very much, Kela. Wonderful time spending time here with you on Channels Television.
The nation's capital has a master plan, one that was created to ensure the smooth running of life, business, and governance here. Sticking to this plan has been a nightmare for the FCT authorities. They must deal with corruption within their ranks and a disturbing determination by some elements to remain unlawful, especially with building construction. Can the clean house approach of the FCT administration be sustained? This isn't the first time they've tried to clean house. Can this drive be maintained despite whose ox is gored? Only time will tell. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.